going live. Let's see. On my side, I think I'm live.
I think I'm live too, although only Restream is saying I'm live. It's not saying I'm live. There we go. There we go. Okay.
This is fun. This is like the first stream. This is the first stream I'm setting up myself directly. Um, it's a good warm up. Hi, Kat. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Defender? This is fun.
Yeah. It's something I want to do for a while, and I want to do it weekly. I mean, I have a lot of stuff I want to do around this topic, but also with you. So this is exciting. Um, but yeah, we're warming up here. I'm trying to figure out if I am streaming. I should be able to see it on. I mean, it says live over here, but
I can
can I?
check your X. Let
Yeah,
me see.
I see a button that says post.
I see it. I
Oh, you
see it,
do?
and there's even a whole two people watching it.
Oh, really? Okay, now I have to figure out like where's the chat? There should be a chat here.
Let,
I figured it out
can I
last
send you
time.
this?
Da, da.
I'm not able to. Wait, I think I can pop it out, and then I should be able to send it to you from the pop out. Yeah.
Well, the question is, can you get into the chat? Okay, I
There you
see
go.
live. Wait, okay, I see it, and I don't want to play it. Pause that. And there's a chat. If I say hi, can you say hi in the chat just to see if I see it? Are you able to access that?
There you go.
Oh, there you go. Hey, look at that. We're talking. Okay, great. Um, nice. Okay. So what are we doing here? Um, we're doing this computational sandbox thing. So I made this kind of tweet thread. Do you want to make that big? Yeah. Look at that. I kind of tried to set it up to be this like nice static thing that we could have open while we introduce things here. Um, so this is like well, first of all, like thank you for kind of being a kind of a guinea pig here for this thing that I'm going to do. But also, this is something you've been wanting to learn or build or do for a while. And I'm helping you with that. So it's actually very like win-win here. Um, so let's see. Um, sorry, I'm trying to figure out where to start here. Um, I think I'll start with my project because it's like basically we both have projects here that are overlapping, um, and there's a lot of overlap between them. So my project is I was calling this perma computing is on the screen here. Um, one another word I've used is like handmade. Like a lot of the prototypes and stuff I build are like handmade, which is kind of weird in today's kind of ecosystem where everything is LLM generated. And maybe I don't know, maybe I'm like behind the times and I'm not. It's not gonna. This isn't gonna be the way of the future. But I think there's something important to me about building some of these things by hand, and I'll talk a bit about this. But if you X out of this and scroll down in the thread, I give a bunch of examples of some of the like the tools that I've built in this philosophy. So not this. This is just kind of a overview of the series,
Oh, here,
but
here,
like
here.
yeah. So these are kind of the examples that I'm thinking about. That these are all have all been tools that are like done very simple, very small amount of code. And this first one, the Substack proxy, was made in like 4 hours. But they've had like kind of big impact, big cultural impact that have spread widely. Like the Substack proxy one is still one that like a lot of people use. Actually, a lot of people don't use it and don't know that I made it, um, which is kind of funny. But it kind of tells like it's one of the only tools I think that's actually spread beyond my little cluster. And there's a lot of data gathered from it that I haven't yet done anything with. So this is actually teeing it up for like the projects you want to do. There's a bunch of data here that could be interesting to analyze or visualize, etc. Um, yeah, same thing with this good and evil viewer, which is this could be one of the projects like I can show you how this is built and we can kind of dig into it. Um, but same thing, this was done in like again I think like a day or two. Um, it's actually very simple in how it's built, um, but it's I'm gonna say big claim here, but it's true, infinitely scalable. Like this thing can have like literally 1 billion users, 100 billion users. There isn't 100 billion people in the world, but there are 100 billion devices or something. It could have like infinite number. It scales like it's not even that it scales really well. It scales infinitely, and the reason it scales infinitely is because I'm not paying for anything. I'm not paying for any infra. The all the compute is on the user side, so it's actually designed in a similar philosophy to how the internet itself works, and that the more people that get on it, the more resilient the thing is, which is like great. That's like this beautiful kind of ecosystem thing. Um, so actually, if you scroll all the way up again, so like yeah, just to zoom out, like what are we doing here? This is so I've been wanting to teach this kind of like what I'm calling this computational sandbox thing, for a couple of reasons. First, like for myself, because I basically used to have like a nice coding environment back in the days of Flash games, where whenever I had like an idea or a concept in my head, I could very quickly sort of put together a system using, in this case, like a video game engine or Flash, um, to um, explore that system, and then put it on the internet, and then 1 million people would be using it, and I could do that like that cycle, um, in like a day or two. And in fact, we often did this with like these game jams, um, which were pretty fun. I feel like I've kind of lost that as like the computing ecosystem is sort of fragmented, and as I've just haven't been in the practice of doing these. Um, and on the flip side, I keep seeing a lot of people like trying to build these things, and they're doing things in like very complex, unnecessarily complex ways. Um, so I want to just have together this material of like how would you go building this, and I want to use like in this case you and your project as an example of this. Like you could try to build this in like these really complicated ways. Like even if you ask an LLM how to build this, it'll tell you like, oh, you need this server, you need this thing, and it's gonna be unnecessarily complicated. So I want to show like, okay, um, here's how you can build some of this stuff in a much simpler way. And as a bonus, like so that's the kind of the general picture. But as a bonus, like the actual project you're working on is very interesting to me, and it's something I want to work on. It's something I want to see um, exist. So I don't know. I think it'd be fun for me to sort of warm up and do these things, and for you to learn this. And so together we're sort of working on this thing. Um, I'm putting together this material. You're learning how to do it, and we get some useful artifacts out of it. And also we have this kind of office hours space for people to kind of like ask questions or just kind of see what it is we're working on. Okay, that's my frame. How's it?
Yeah, this is fun. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to learn how to do it, and I'm excited to make this a lot more accessible, just in general. Because as you know, but as none of the people watching this know, I've really been struggling with just getting all these things started. Because like you said, I'll talk to the language models, and they're like, you need 1.5 million things in order to get this going, and it just it overcomplicates everything. So I'm definitely excited to learn how to do it easy and efficiently.
Yeah, and the thing that, and I said this in I think the one of the last tweets in that thread, where I'm like, even if you can do it in the complex way, there's still a problem with that, because I need the infrastructure to be simple, because I need communities to own it and be able to modify it. So actually, if you scroll down a bit, where is it? It's one where I say da, 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 something about bells and whistles, fully featured. Oh yeah, the bottleneck here. Yeah, that one where I say a little bit at the top. I say the bottleneck here is not tech. Um, so this is really important. Like, and this is especially important, I think, for the things both of us want to build, which is it's this like social tech, it's infrastructure, it's stuff that like communities use to see themselves, or to you know collectively steer, or collective sense making, or whatever it is we want to call it. Um, whoever's working on like that layer has a lot of power and influence on, again, how people see themselves, how communities see themselves. Um, and I think there's no way for that to be a thing that people rely on and trust if it's not owned by people that you trust. So um, And so this is really important, and this is built into the design, into all these tools like the post scope, which we can kind of dive into. But um, it needs to be simple enough that you can fork it, that you can copy it, that you can take it, make it your own, and then know how to run it yourself. Um, and I think that's how we get to, because again, and I think this is your vision too. My vision is like making these things that like all communities on Earth start using to to sort of gather their own data, visualize their own data, see themselves in it, and then then we start to talk across communities, which would be really fun. Uh, and while we're here, I'll send you. I made a list this morning of like pictures that I use a lot, and so if you open this one, send this on Discord. I think you and I have seen this image before.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so this is like each community here, millions of people sort of unite their voices together and sort of get a coherent picture together, and then the other guys also do the same thing, and then those big pictures, or as you call them, plurs, as I call them, egregores, um, start to touch and to communicate. And the different colors here, like it shouldn't. I don't think this is gonna happen with one piece of tech. Um, like I think the real way it's going to happen is like the purple guys have their own servers or architecture, and then the green guys have their own, but they still are able to like interoperate or communicate. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of the philosophy. All right, um, we can dive into the details here. So if you let's see, let me send you this board with the agenda. So this is kind of what I wrote while waiting for this to start. We did the introduction thing, and then we can either talk a bit about your thing. I don't know if you have like any of the visualizations or kind of depictions you had in your mind like ready. I have the Virtualist Manifesto up, but we don't have to go too much into that. The other thing I was gonna do is actually walk you through the course, because I think you successfully finished the first piece, and maybe we can just kind of quickly look at that. But then I think the second big piece that will unblock you is the learning to deploy something on GitHub. So that was going to be like my goal for today.
Yeah, I would definitely be happy to kind of start with jumping in. I think for the social media thing, you put a great image in this Twitter
Yeah,
thread here. And I feel like this is what I want to make on like a macro level.
yeah.
Like this looks like a very micro level, but if each one of these was a different social
No,
organization,
and this
then yeah.
and this is actually totally within the realm of like the scope of what's feasible here, because let me show you something just to kind of like motivate what we're going to be working towards. So have you seen this Archive Explorer I made a while ago? So let's see on Discord. So this was like one of the first apps I built on top of the Community Archive project. If you look at interactions with mutuals tab, this shows you like a list of top people that I've added, and also like the first few interactions with every person I follow, and I sort of in chronological order. Um, so it kind of paints a little bit of a history of um, how I move through the social graph, but it's all like kind of text. But like you can imagine taking this and then like go back to the cells in the Twitter thread.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you can imagine instead of these little black circles, they could be PFPs, profile pictures, and
Yeah.
then you could actually like we can just put them based on the number of interactions, and then what I really want to see is like how did Defender like my sort of journey through especially like Teapot as I discovered that and as I because you could actually see me. I actually think it would tell a really compelling story. Like you could see me um, interacting a lot with like specific like reply guying to specific people and then moving on once I like sort of learned or sort of absorbed their mind or sort of absorbed the culture from them because I think I basically did this like almost class or curriculum where I went through and like I moved through the culture in a very specific way, um, and I think you could see that and again this is kind of my philosophy with this open memetics thing has been um, it's never going to be top down so it's like I'm just gonna analyze my data here, and then other people might like that and want to make a version of that for themselves, and then that's how we were gonna get this macro level from all the micros.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. Um, let's open up the class page, which I just sent. So this is kind of the homepage for the class where it like talks a bit about this philosophy stuff, and then if you scroll down, the first thing we did was yeah get this a single HTML file um, app and ran it on your computer in VS Code, and then you deployed it on CodePen, and that's like
We
the
did that
easiest.
off stream. Sorry,
Yes,
everybody.
and that's the easiest way to go from. But it's all documented here. This is the easiest way to go from a piece of code to running it on your computer to deploying it in a way that, like again, a million people could run it and you're not paying anything. Um, now I mean, before we even move on from here, I want to show you how powerful this is because the Good and Evil app itself is made in this way. And we haven't done this, but this should be a good warm up. So I want you to see if you can run it on your computer. So this will be kind of like your first open source sort of thing that you take and see if you can run and make a change to it. So if you take this, so this thing is deployed and running on GitHub, but it's made to be all in a single HTML file. So you can just take that, download it, and run it on your computer, open VS Code. So
This,
let's,
the index?
yes. So let's try that. Click on that, and then usually what I'll do is
Just copy it all?
yeah, and then open up VS Code.
Is VS Code gonna dox me?
Hope not.
I don't think so. We're good. We're good. We're good.
Okay. As long as your username.
New file. I mean, do I just call it like index or whatever?
I would call it Good and Evil. And you don't want to put spaces in it. Although it's probably fine now, but in my day we
.html.
yes.
Okay, and I'll just put it in my downloads folder.
And then
And you guys don't look at that one. Go downloads, Get an Evil.
okay, so it doesn't have anything in it. Makes sense. And then if you paste the code from the GitHub.
And then I'm gonna refresh the page.
Yep. And this should be working. So if you put Good and Evil as anchors to start with, and then put like.
Wait, did you see it put the good on the evil side?
Well, yeah, okay. I can show you why it does that. It's because it does them relative. So okay, put like I'll show you. Put right wing and then left wing, and then you can get a sense of. Okay, they're pretty close. So you can see how now. Now here's the fun part. Click on evil. If you click on any word here, it removes it. So then click on good. So what you're doing here is you're like zooming in. So that way, if you really wanted to see, like if you click on democratic, so like clear clear fascist and clear the democratic socialist. So it's basically expanding that. It's like which one is the closest to evil in your set,
Yeah.
so that you can zoom in because maybe there's a lot of stuff in between, like left wing and right wing are showing up pretty close together. Maybe there's a lot of stuff in the middle of it, but you can't quite see it. Yeah, nobody likes
Centrists are
centrists.
evil,
Yeah. And
but
also,
the middle wings are good.
yeah,
Sorry, sorry.
this is one of those. By default, this is using this. So the reason this all works, again, it is using an LLM, but it's local. Which this is the fun part. Like, after once this runs, this works without even needing internet, because it's actually computing these embeddings locally.
Mm.
Um, this is cool. I mean, while we're here, wait, I'll show you this in a second. But but the local model isn't as like big as the OpenAI models,
Yeah.
which is why I have this OpenAI key. So if you get your OpenAI key, you can put it here, and then you can sort of compare. Like if you'll probably get different results if you do uh, if you compare this model with the OpenAI model. And something, one of the additions you could do here as a project is a way to see them side by side. So like to run the same word through both models, and then kind of see both, or see a delta, or see them in different colors or something. And then I have a bunch more stuff like the Google embeddings, but I haven't used them as much. I only use the OpenAI one. Cool. Okay, so that's that. It's running on your computer, which is great. So this is already like pretty empowering, because it's like if one day I delete the thing, or GitHub, crashes and burns all their servers, you have this thing running as a text file on your computer, as a piece of code. So you've archived it, um, and it's running for you. The only dependency that you should be aware of here is like this. Do you see where it says Hugging Face in bottom left above the?
Yeah.
So this is where it's getting this like local model. Um, do you know what Hugging Face is?
Yeah, I know what Hugging Face is. Hugging Face is like where they store all the AI encodings and like,
Yeah,
or they don't store them. People upload them and then you
yeah,
can
yeah, yeah,
download them.
yeah. So I guess like the model weights are like a lot of these models are here, and so you can, in this case, we're like loading one that can run in JavaScript directly. So we can actually look at it. So let's look at the code. So let's see what we're looking for here. So like we did last time, like so this is a single file that has, just for convenience, it's combining all three languages: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So the the JavaScript starts with the script module. I'm looking at it on my screen here. You can see, where's the part where it does the embeddings? Let's see.
I think you save it as a variable somewhere and then you change it if it is it this
So
one right here?
so this is where I'm getting the key. So this is all just the HTML where I get the keys. If you go to line 228. Yeah, so here's the function that embeds the words. This is responsible for getting a word. It can be any word or phrase, any string. And then it decides, and then it basically returns a vector. And that's it. And so you can see it does that based on whether, if you give it a key. So do you see those three lines at the top?
The three lines at the top.
Open,
These?
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is where it's deciding. So it's looking at like, have you put something inside the OpenAI input field? Um, if do you see design 233 makes sense? So this is saying
Yeah.
if there's nothing in any of them, use this default embedder, and this default embedder is the one that uses this local model. And this code I just got from the Hugging Face thing. They were like, if you want to use this local model, here's how you load it, and then run this function. The other ones are the API calls to Google and to this Voyage thing, which this is what the Claude Anthropic recommended. Like, I guess Claude doesn't have their own, Anthropic doesn't have their own embedding model. Oh, last time I checked. So that's why it's the bottom one there is called Voyage. And then I think the one below that is OpenAI.
Cool.
Right. Okay. So I'm trying to think like what's like a change we can make here. Just to see if we can. It's a challenge here. Um, there's like an ambitious change, and but I'm trying to think if there's any easier ones. Because the big one we were talking about was um, like single word multi polls. So, and I think actually it looked pretty cool. Like I wanted to see like, the word Trump or Elon Musk or whatever, and then, because you can right now you can have like good and evil, but you can also have like male, masculine, feminine. You can have all these different kind of poles. Um,
What
so,
the heck?
but well, this actually, well, hold on. It makes well, also
What the heck?
can we anchor put good and evil so we anchor them? Okay. So
Oh, I see, I see.
So it's good news. It's not the male female, isn't that big of a gap. But it also makes sense. It is what you would expect. Um, I mean, this is one of the fun things with this thing. This is also a bit more ambitious thing because it needs a back end. But I wanted to have a game version of this where you put where do you think the words should be,
Hmm.
and it
Like you
records.
you you make them predict it before. Like GeoGuessr almost.
Yeah. Well, but it's like I want both. Like I want where people think the LLM will put it and where they think it should be.
Well, that's how
But
GeoGuessr works, because you make a guess and then it tells you what the actual answer is and how close you were.
but the
So it's
missing
like,
thing, well, but like for example, what would you guess for woman and man? I think if you're have this sense of culture, you might be like, well, I would expect woman because our society is whatever it is. Like if you might correctly guess it where it is now, but I kind of what I want is for people to like I want the answer of like, what do you think it should be? So wait, can you go to
hmm.
the README? I'll show you.
In
And
the this?
yeah, and then scroll down. There's like a one about gay and over time. Yeah, this one. Um, you can click on it to make it a little bigger, I think. So this is hypothetical. Well, I don't have this data, but actually, there's been papers on this. But in theory, if we had this tool, like running daily or however often they update the models, you could see it move. Now, you could have asked someone in 2005 where where it is, and they could have correctly put it there, in the very left, because that's just where the dominant culture was. But you could also ask them, where do you think it should be, or like, where do you think it will be? And then they might put, like that actually tells you a lot about the person because they might say that, oh, it's actually in the right place where it is, versus no, it actually should be all the way to the other side. And you can see how this could be like a social experiment if we gather this data and we ask people to play this game of
Or
like
you could actively influence the culture by putting these things on like Polymarket, like turning it into a predictive
yeah.
gambling kind of thing. Because then people feel pressured to like, oh, I want gay to be good. I gotta make sure.
Well, but
Yeah.
this actually is like I would say like the headquarters of like the culture war. Like this is basically like if we successfully make this thing, and it's just a simple thing, but you can actually see how it becomes this like again Bloomberg terminal for the culture or whatever. But like this is the space in which we're fighting. Like everyone's actively pulling these things one way or the other, and it's not just on this axis. It's all across all all kind, it's the high dimensional space, so it's like being pulled. Um, and I mean, what I want to see is like, I mean, I want to see who's pulling things where, but that's, difficult to see because a lot of the stuff is influence operations are secret. A lot of stuff is just organic, what's happening. Um, but separately, I want to coordinate with my fellow culture language hackers to be like, we want to move this thing here, and I mean, that's what I do. Like, I tweet and I write essays with this in mind. I'm like, oh, this word, people think it's evil, but it's actually good, and so I want to pull it this way, or vice versa. If you go back to the README, there's another example of dumb and smart, where if you click on that, so I'm like, yeah, dumb, and these are like custom pulls, but like dumb is all the way to like bad, and smart is all the way good. And I was making this claim that they should be closer to like tall and short, where like you are the height you are, and that's fine. Um, and so that's one of my like cultural or like meaning or language projects. And I'm like, okay, and I want to write essays, and I want to see has it moved the needle, and if not, like what, or like, and then this of course this is doing it in like the big, all the whole internet, the whole model. Um, but you can imagine doing it like you can actually move the needle much faster on like your subculture, right? Like within Teapot, or within wherever part of Twitter you're at, or Blue Sky, or etc., or even in your small Discord. Um,
Yeah. Tell me if this is crazy, but I feel like you could use this, well, kind of. You could like find a way to format the prompting on the back end to give a example like essay, let's say. Like I wrote an essay about being tall, right? And then after feeding this to this language model, does that change where they think the
mm,
new prediction goes? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
yes, and I actually don't know. I mean, actually, this should be doable, but I don't know enough about the architecture of these models, but I would like to find out because this actually, I mean, okay, if this is possible, it already opens up a can of worms about like social engineering.
Well, yeah, because
That
that's a real thing though. Because did you see that Reddit study on like r/change my view,
Yeah, yeah.
where yeah, and their language models are constantly context priming us for so many things.
I
But
guess
that's us as humans. Sorry, I don't mean to
right.
cut you off.
I mean, I guess the what I would want in that case is because I also want defenses against it. Because if yeah, I mean, which this is I think what's already sort of happening. Like this actually is quite, if when you get into like the subculture level, or like smaller data sets, it's going to be quite fuzzy, and because it's like inferring. Okay, I'll tell you this. I saw some linguist write a Substack about how she's like changing what emojis she uses to basically have meaning only between her and her friends, or her and her community.
Mm-hmm.
This like kind of semantic obfuscation. Um, and I feel like communities, I mean, communities can start to do like the more this kind of engineering becomes visible, the more communities start to become aware of the need to do that. And this is what, the youngsters have always done to sort of, as they create slang to avoid sort of being understood or being legible to their authority figures. But I mean the gist is I think we want communities to be able to do this for them for their own data, and if they can see themselves, if they can see this for their own data, they'll be much more okay with it being more invasive, because they want the answer, and
Yeah.
they sort of want to operate on their own collective beliefs. Uh, but the more also they see what's possible, the more they can better defend themselves, and like start to use language in a way that is confusing or nonsensical to external observers. And this is already what's happening. This is why, to me, this tool, the zoomed out tool, doesn't give me that much information, because again, the word dumb, even the word dumb and smart, um, Like they do mean different things. Like basically every single culture has like whatever the answer the LM gives you, um, it doesn't actually represent anybody, which is why I want to play this game of like, can I get people to vote or to sort of put where they think it is, not where they think the culture or the LLM is going to put it. I want them to put what it is for them. Like I think this is it. Like let me just say it simply. The goal of that game would be wherever the LLM puts it, I want to put it where I think other people in Teapot are going to put it.
Yeah.
Because if I can do that, then that means I can speak Teapot's language. In fact, if we can do that as a culture, as a community, that means we have a coherent language. If you ask 1,000 people from the subculture and they all put it in different space locations, then there's no coherent language. We actually don't know what we mean when we say words. But if they in areas where they do converge, that means there is coherent language. And I think what you're going to see is sometimes there'll be two spikes. Wait, can you go to the the TL draw, the whiteboard? So do you see me? Yeah. So I said like if basically everyone puts it like in the middle, this is like how many people put it, then okay, there's a coherent thing. If it's like kind of like random, then there's no actual like coherent thing here. But you can get both. You can get like this, and what that would tell me is like this community actually has like two sub languages inside of it, and they just maybe were not aware of that until this test. Um, okay, so I think this is pretty deep. Like there's a lot here that can be done, and I think a lot of it goes with this like that kind of game. Um, but let's see, like what's the easiest thing we can do right now? Maybe it's deploying it on your own
On
GitHub.
GitHub.
So let's do that. Um, Here's how we're gonna do that. And I actually have it. If you go back to the class page,
I
uh,
have a lot of tabs open.
it's right to the right a little bit. It's like the fifth tab. Yeah. Okay. So click on. Do you see where it says number 2, and then the first bullet point?
That
Not
was
that
not
one.
the first bullet point. That's the first
Yep.
bullet point.
So this is kind of the thing, but I can walk through it pretty quick. Basically, if you scroll down, all you have to do is like make a repo, add the file. Scrolling, I just want to walk you through the overview, and then we tell GitHub to deploy this thing, and it doesn't cost any money because it's this static deployment, which is again similar to CodePen. So GitHub doesn't really pay anything other than the bandwidth. The code runs on the user's computer when they see it.
And
Um,
everybody can do this, even like for free users. Because I do not have like a premium GitHub account.
yes, everyone can do this. There's no limits, and it's again the reason they can do this is because it costs them very little money. Technically, it costs something, but like every thousand, like they can have thousands of these and it costs them like pennies.
Yeah.
So it's pretty nice of GitHub to do this for us. So yeah, let's try that. Go open a create a new repo. Call it your like language visualizer or whatever you want to. Yeah, and do you see how it tells you you can't have spaces, but it's going to put a little dash for you in it, which is a
Yeah.
good practice. That's how they do it. Put a dash. Well, okay. There's a reason you also wouldn't do a capital because again, in olden times, file systems couldn't um, always distinguish between lowercase and uppercase.
Really? Wait. Not to sound super young here, but are you trolling right now? Aren't
No.
they completely? They're completely different characters, though.
Some I mean you could store the names in less bytes if you don't consider them different characters. If you just convert
I
them all to lowercase.
see.
And in fact, this is actually something as you write code, you might run into because like if somebody types a name and you look up the name, but they typed it uppercase versus lowercase, is it the same name? Sometimes you want it to be the same name. It's about whether you want it to be case sensitive or not. Um, So there's a lot of legacy systems. I mean, it's actually fine now for most cases, but it's still. Most of my career, I've been like, okay, just keep it standard, simple, so that. Um, okay, so we have that, and maybe I usually give it a README just because it's nice to have a template here. And I usually give it a MIT license, although it doesn't really matter.
What is the MIT license?
MIT is just kind of a nice standard default. It says this code is open source and you can use it for whatever you want to use it for, but there's no liability on you if somebody uses it for things and they want to sue you. But it's the most permissive license. But it also means that companies can use it to make a lot of money from it and pay you nothing. If you don't put a license, by the way, this is just good to know. If you don't put a license on it, it means the code is copyright to you. No one can use it without your permission. So that's the default that you can.
Interesting.
All right, and then yeah, you can just commit that.
Do I want to do directly to the main branch or new branch?
You want to do directly. The only times you want to use a branch is if like once you have this deployed and you want to make a change, but you don't want to like accidentally break the app that's running. You could make a branch, and then if you're sending it to me to like review or test, I could see that branch without again. It's just like a different folder than the main one. Okay. Cool. Okay, so now you have this thing, but it's not deployed anywhere, but it is the code is hosted. So to deploy it, go to settings. I'm just following my own tutorial here. And then let's see, after this, you want to go to pages. Do you see where it says pages in the yeah?
Yeah, right here.
And then we want to do deploy from branch is good. We want to select the branch. Yeah, leave that as is. Click on that main, and then yeah, save. Now by default, index.html is the special name of the file that will get hosted. I think you called it main, but that should still work. We just have to explicitly go to that. So here's what you're gonna do. Go back to the repo page. And then do you see that little yellow circle? Just click on that. So that's deploying. So you're running a job now in the CI. CI stands for continuous integration, which just means like most modern software systems have the thing where as you write code and as you push to GitHub, every change you push, maybe run some tests or run some actions. In this case, the action it's running is deploying. So if you click on details, you can actually kind of see the server running. This is like GitHub servers. It's already finished, but if you click on setup job, yeah, this is kind of the log, and if anything goes wrong, this is where it would be. So okay, so you have a like nice little check mark, which means everything went well. So if you go back to settings, it'll tell you what the domain is that it's deploying under. Go to pages. Okay, so that's it. Go up. You should see it. Not that one. Yeah. You click on that. So you're not going to see anything. This is not the app because you have to put in main.html.
At the end.
Yes.
But this is the whole app, basically. Like, this is where the app would start, and then you have to like go into the functions that you've developed.
So
Kind of.
you
Vaguely.
like well all apps have so okay I mean it's sort of up to you how to slice this, because what's happening here is you can actually be running multiple apps and each app is its own file. So this is kind of nice. The way most apps run is you just have an entry point, which is index.html, and then there can be many other files, but the index kind of goes to the other files. So does that make sense? Like they can each page can be like its own website, its own web app, or they're all part of a single thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. So you've actually done it. This is it. That URL is now yours. So the difference now between this and the CodePen thing you did is this. First of all, this doesn't have like the CodePen logo or all the restrictions that CodePen had. So this is basically just like a full real website, and the only thing that is sort of missing is like a backend, but that's something you can add. If you ever like this, there's nothing like this is not a toy example, is what I'm trying to say. Like you could
Yeah,
launch
yeah.
like, and if you wanted to put a domain, like you get this free domain name, which is like your username.github, but if you bought a domain name, you can attach it to your.
Really, really. Where, if I wanted to do that,
So
would I
you
do
would
that here? Right
let's
here?
yeah, yeah, that's actually it. You would, well, so on your domain name registrar, you would tell it to point to the GitHub servers, and then on GitHub, you would tell it the domain, and then that connects two-way connection, and then you're done. And that's actually the example I had here was the Ithaca Social Circle thing, which is a group I run locally here, is made this way, and you can actually see the website for it and the source code for it. I think if you just open if you type Ithaca Social Circle. Yeah. So this is the website, and it even has like a little calendar. It technically has a backend, but I'm kind of cheating, and I'll explain that in a second. Um, but then if you go all the way down, click on made by hand. Here's the GitHub for it, and that's it. That's the website. And
Cool.
yeah.
What are the limitations with building on GitHub? Like, is there anything glaring that we're going to run into? Or do you think this is like a really good starting point for like anybody trying to develop something like this? Or just anything really?
Yeah, the main thing, so this is actually quite different from how most tutorials or most people will tell you to do. Most things, if you open up Vercel. So Vercel is one of the things that Vercel or Netlify, all these things. I mean, even like Cloudflare workers. Most of how people deploy things these days is serverless. These little serverless applets, um, and trying to decide how much is worth getting into here if I need some the whiteboard. Um, the main restriction with this is that it's a static website. It's a static web app. Vercel is giving you like all the things you need, including a database, including maybe a file system, including what all the other like things that they give you here. But we're basically trading like cost and simplicity for like features and complexity. Um,
Yeah.
for Vercel, if you have the money to pay them, you can make your web app and it can have a database and it can scale to millions of users, and then they will just keep giving your app more resources as it needs, and you'll pay for that as you go. But you pay a lot in exchange for that sort of convenience. Um, they can say instead of you sort of managing your architecture, they manage it for you and make all the decisions about how it should run for you. Um, but I don't personally like it in the sense of like I just want to know. I like to know like I like to decide how it should be running, because again sometimes I don't need all these bells and whistles. Um, and again I'd rather have something like simple, because like you saw, like the Good and Evil app, you took that, it's a single file. You could run it on your computer. You can run it on your own GitHub, on your own domain name. Vercel apps, you can't really do that as easily, especially if they're like tied to the Vercel architecture. Um,
Yeah.
so there's basically a lot of trade-offs here, and I want to kind of keep showing you these examples of apps and how they're done, um, so you can see what is possible, and where the limitations might be. So like then I think the next thing what we'll do like next week um, is sort of start to put in simple backends. So let me explain that, and I think we can wrap up here.
Okay.
So there's several levels of backends. Um, the Ithaca Social Circle one's actually a nice example. So if you open that, and this is something I want to do for like other like local community. Uh, stuff. So there's kind of a backend here. Like if you scroll up, like there's this is the upcoming events page, and it shows the events and the event description and all that. But but I'm not paying for that. And how am I not paying for that? It's because it's a Google Calendar. So uh, Google Calendar doesn't charge you for putting events. Like you don't pay. Like Google Calendar is actually a database, but you don't pay for it. And you can write a little bit of JavaScript code to pull from that database and display it however you want. So it's actually kind of a nice little cheat code. Like you can like imagine making a website where like you're selling items and like each item is like a calendar event. Um, like I think if you go in the source, actually let's find that. If you go in source and then maybe fetch RSS, that'd be why it's a bad name for it. Yeah, you can see how I fetch calendar data. So this is the code for that. I have the Google like line 17. Um, you can basically give it the URL to your Google Calendar and then it fetches the data from it and then it does whatever it is you need to do with the data. Here I just kind of sort the events by date and I pick like the first top 3. You can see that. Um,
And all
so
we need for this is that API. Like that's it. That's the extent of the difficulty here.
yep. And it's because it's like a Google Calendar can be made public, and as long as it's public, then your code can read it. And so the architecture here is the data is on Google servers via the Google Calendar. It's made public, and then your code runs on the user's machine served via GitHub as the host. And
With
so,
JavaScript.
yes.
Because this is the thing that I've never really understood, and this might feel like a dumb question to you or like your audience, because all of you guys are extremely technical, but how does JavaScript actually run on the browser? Like, is the browser the app that's actually running all the code? Or like, what's the movement of the information
Yeah.
here when we're
This is
actually building apps?
it's actually a great question. So like when you write Python, you're writing text file, and then there's a Python program that's the compiler or interpreter or whatever that takes the text and then converts it to machine code to instructions to actually do stuff. Okay. For JavaScript, it is the browser, and so I don't remember if we did this last time, but let's open up the Ethical Social Circle website again, and I'll show you this. If you
It's somewhere in here. Well,
I
I
think
think it's.
if you just type Ithaca, I think it'll show up. Yeah, we had it.
Oh, you guys are Googleable.
Oh yeah.
You're official. I
If
see. I see.
if anything, that should be the one thing I should be able to do. Okay, and then so right click here and then click inspect. So and yeah, I don't remember if we did this last time, but you can click on console in the top. Well, yeah, that works.
This console.
Yeah, and maybe just pull it to the left side of the screen or something. Yeah. So all the code you're running, like you can. I don't have a great example here, but if you type console.log and then in quotes type hello or something,
Single quote or double quote?
it doesn't matter. It just has to be consistent. And then close that, and then close the bracket.
Do I need a semicolon?
No. So this is a simple JavaScript line of code, and you just ran this in the browser. So like you can imagine everything you put in the script tag in the file, it basically runs through the engine. So this is a way for you to run stuff in the engine. Like this, that's the answer to the question. Like, how's the JavaScript running? Like, the browser is a piece of software that takes in the JavaScript as a text and then does what we just did here, which is take it and then run it and then produce the output. The thing I was going to show you here is you can actually see, you can verify what I said about the data comes from the calendar. So if you click on network and then refresh the page. So, and then if you type Google in the filter, So one of these, maybe the first one, the events. Yeah. And then click on payload.
Yeah, because this is the Google
This is the
APIs.
calendar, yep. And then maybe preview.
I don't think I'm supposed to leak that.
Well, but no, this is the good part. Like it's designed to work this way. The calendar itself is public, so anyone can look at it. The web page has a piece of code that will grab it from the calendar, and you're seeing the raw data here. And
Oh, and
now
this is the response when
this
you
is exactly
sent the
it.
request. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. That's
So
cool.
so this is the fun part. Like any web page doing anything, you can see what data is it fetching and what data is it sending. Um,
And you can do this for like any website. I feel
yeah,
like I'm learning so much more
right,
than this
right.
the tutorial told
Well,
me I was gonna learn.
this is what I mean. Like, I think that's why I'm like calling it like I'm not calling it like a web app class or whatever. It's this computational set. I just want you to know how computers work, and then you can like
Yeah.
see. And the beautiful thing is like these interfaces. Okay, you're getting me excited now because you're really getting this. Um, the reason I'm teaching this via web is not because it's unique to web, but just because it's easy to see this stuff here. What we just did here, we just looked at what data is this web page or piece of software getting from the internet over the network. You can do this with anything that runs on your computer. It's just a bit more complicated with desktop software, but it can be done. They can't hide that. Why? Because if you have a program that's fetching stuff from the internet from another server, it has to go through like the internet. It has to go from your computer to the Wi-Fi router, etc. So if you have a piece of software on the Wi-Fi router, it can see that data. Like it has to. Like the machine has to trust the other machine that's pulling the data for it. They may like obfuscate it. They may like try to garble it. But it doesn't matter. Like you can see what data is coming in, and then if they can decode it, you can try to figure out how they decode it. Um, so when you're thinking about security, um, like at the end of the day, the data for what events are happening has to reach the web page somehow. Um, in this case, we're pulling it directly from Google. It could be running your own database, but even then, like your own database has to return something for the web page. So like at some point, there's no way to hide the information. Um, like you don't want to be shuffling stuff from the client to the server that you want to be hidden because there's no way to hide that. So this is kind of one of the
Yeah.
lessons I want here is like there are fundamental limits. Like if your LLM tells you, "Oh, I can hide this data for you," then you're like, "Wait, that's suspicious. How can you do that?" Because I know there's no way to do that.
Are you
Um,
telling me a language model would lie to me, Defender? What the
and
heck?
we have to be able to spot that. But it doesn't take that much. It just requires us to understand the basic fundamentals, and then you can see like once you know what's possible, what's not possible. That's the full picture. You don't have to know all the details. You just have the full frame. Um,
I feel
okay,
like this is
yeah,
really helpful
yeah,
knowing that you can do this with Calendar because you also talk about using Google Spreadsheets as a
yes,
database, and I'm guessing it's the same exact thing,
yes,
just
yes.
connected with an
In fact,
API.
I actually think, and this might be one of the projects we do, but I want imagine basically making a social media app with as like as small components as possible, which is like a Google form to like post, and then the Google spreadsheet is the database, and then a little web app on GitHub is the viewer, and like that's it. It's a full like social media app, and you're not paying for anything, and it has the full cycle. And the cool part is like this is not crazy. Like one of the things I posted this. I mean, I thought it was crazy because I didn't see anyone doing it, but I posted this a while back, and like some big tech company CEO was like, "Oh yeah, that's how I did it, in the first like month or two before we hired, a real, big engineering team." And he was in production and it worked great. So I was like, "Okay, so that's actually how you get things done." Um
Yeah.
quick. And especially for the stuff you're doing, like, this kind of stuff like it can technically scale. Like, I don't know, you could have 1,000 people doing it over a weekend and they get really excited and then I don't know, maybe Google shuts it down or maybe it stops working. But the nice thing is like you didn't pay for anything, and now you collected this data and you can visualize, you can do all this stuff.
You won't
Um,
get banned though, right? Like Google's not gonna ban my account for like bot spam or something.
No, because you're not like you're going through they haven't officially documented API. What we're doing with the Twitter post scope thing is actually more risky because they keep trying to they their API is very expensive and they don't want to be
The
scraping.
Twitter API?
Yeah. So the post scope doesn't use the Twitter API. The post scope scrapes the data, and Twitter doesn't like that. So that's risky.
Yeah.
But whereas this thing we're doing with Google Spreadsheets is like it is going through official channels, so it's fine. That's a good
Do you
question.
know if CA does the official API, or do they also do like an alternative data gathering method? Community archive for
Yeah,
anybody unfamiliar.
they I mean they use a combination of things. The main data source is people exporting their Twitter archives, and that's coming from like the GDPR requirement. And then there's like a stream of stuff that's like scraped, and that one's like legal, like gray area. But I maintain, and this is something I want to push more of. Like you can't it can't possibly be illegal for me to scrape my own data. That's kind of my line. And so if I'm scraping my data and you're scraping your data and we're sharing that data, then like it's kind of a way it's kind of a community loophole like self ownership. But
Yeah.
it's a gray area. It's never been tested, and I kind of wanted I don't know I want one of these projects to like get really big, and then for Twitter to like sue, and then for us to be like you can't sue, you can't block me from scraping my own data, and then we get like it actually would be like a technically gray area thing, but I think it would get as it gets adjudicated, it would raise awareness to the the ridiculousness of having to like fight to grab my own data. But that's story for another day.
For the future,
Yeah.
apparently.
But I think this is good. I feel like we're at a good kind of set it up for the next time where I want to be like I think the goal for next time is like basic database, getting data in, and you have basically a few different rungs. This like either calendar or spreadsheet, which is the very simplest one, and then there's also these more complex, slightly more complex, like a database thing. Um, can we look at like real quick the Shape of America game? If you don't have it, I'll
Yeah, will you
send
send
my
me a link?
yes.
While you're finding that, I wanted to ask if maybe next week we could modify the word thing and maybe make a button that lets us save words that we put in there.
Oh
Like just
yeah.
like save it and then you can load it as well. And we
Oh
could
no,
use
that's
Google Spreadsheets as like that
that actually be
back
great.
end.
That'd be great. A great kind of stepping stone. Yeah, it's totally doable.
And I feel like it'll be easy enough because you've already done most of the
I
hard work of actually
I think it
making
is.
this thing.
So and this is a game. I mean, you've played this. It kind of like you guess Democrat, Republican on various jobs, and it tells you right or wrong, and then like the cute thing is it tells you like how many other people answered and what they got. I think that's Republican. Yes, I got it.
Okay.
Uh,
Woodworker.
and we know that's
What do you guys think is woodworker?
it's not what you think.
Oh my
But you see
goodness.
that answer of like 17% got it correct. That you can only compute that if again I gather who said what and then I put it in kind of a big table database and then I pull that and you can actually see that again in the network tab. But this one's again free. I didn't pay for the database. It's using Cloudflare, which is way more complicated than I want it to be. But it's quite robust and it's like free. So that's that could be further down the line. But this is one of the one where like the Google Spreadsheets database is good for like prototypes and going quick. The Cloudflare one is like production ready. Like you could launch, you know, any real company. It could have 100 million users, etc., and you can pay for that as you go, and it'll still be affordable. So but that's like the second tier of database. But I don't think you'll need it to for the foreseeable future. So we'll
Yeah.
do. Yeah, I think we should. I think you made a good kind of suggestion. The good and evil game, but save the stuff and share it. Um, I think would be actually pretty good, pretty doable. and
Because then
it'll
you could
yeah.
also have shareable links, maybe? Because
Yes,
then
no,
you're just
actually,
like
yeah,
sharing like I
yeah.
want line
No,
50 in the database.
because people like when they played this game, they share screenshots of like, oh, I found this, like, isn't that really weird? They find those weird things, and it'd be nice to be like, you can just share that link and then you can edit it and then change it. So we
People
can
play
totally,
with it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, we can totally do that. Sweet. Okay, that's good. Good warm up here. Good kind of frame setting. Um, yeah. Do you have any other kind of questions or hopes for next time?
I don't think I have any other questions particularly because you explain everything very well,
Okay.
but I'm definitely excited to play with this more and get more experience with all of this. By the end of the course class, whatever, I would definitely like to be able to play with the CA data more
Yeah.
and like maybe just have a simple app, not necessarily Postscope adjacent, but something similar to the Postscope in that it uses CA data and you can like play with it, but
Yeah. No, I
not
mean
over. I don't want to
that's
overcomplicate it.
that's my goal. Like, I think you should be able to start doing, again, some of these things are in your head. Like, I think are like, some of them are quite ambitious, but you can take pieces of them and make them, and then it starts to show you like what's possible. Because again, like, this thing we have is like cellular automata visualization, but instead of that, we could have pulled in some Twitter data, and you know, it's just cleaning up data is a little annoying, but we can do that. Yeah, like what I want to see is like now, for example, you know how to deploy on GitHub. I want to give you enough pieces that, like, yeah, I'll just Cat will have this, like, suddenly this big visualization tweeted, and then it's going viral, and then yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be the proof that the class is sort of working as expected. So sweet. All right.
sweet.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Cat.
much, Defender.
Yeah. See you next week.
I'll see you next week. Bye. Chat, what did we think of that? Was that so fun? Was that so fun? I thought that was so fun. I think the overarching goal of all of this is to give people the skill sets needed to do basic code stuff and be able to better vibe code things. Because that's what Defender and I have kind of been talking about recently is language models can overcomplicate things a lot. And if you are unfamiliar with the context that needs to be there, you're really going to struggle when the language model is just vibe coding away and telling you things that shouldn't be done. Kind of similar to how like if you're very familiar with a topic and you're talking to a language model about it, you're likely to notice like some minor misconstruences maybe because the language models are pulling just from the vector space which knows the information, but the articulation is not always in the way that we agree on as human beings. Now, anyways, I think I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna end this stream for now because I have some other things I gotta run and do. But I will be back live later. I think I'm gonna play some bar tonight after all my things today. So, bye. I'll see you guys later. Love you. I gotta let the YouTube catch up, so you guys get another about 10 seconds. But okay, bye.